I'm very happy to welcome to the podcast a friend of mine, Dr. Kelli Ward, who is also the chairman of the Arizona GOP. There is a very important issue before us, Kelli, which is the Maricopa audit. Now, as you know, the left has been saying since the election itself, most secure election in American history, no problems whatsoever. The media has been behind this. The digital media has been censoring people who say the opposite. Yet I see today in Rasmussen a poll that says that 51% of Americans believe that there was significant cheating in the 2020 election. So the propaganda isn't going through, but I think the significance, am I right in saying the significance of Maricopa is it's really the first official look to see on the ground what has actually been happening in the election. Talk for a moment about the significance and why this is a big deal. And also, how did Maricopa decide to do this?
Well, this is the first ever full forensic audit of an election in our country's history. And that's why I call it America's audit. That's why everyone should call it America's audit, because the Democrats are trying to put out propaganda saying this is a Republican audit. This is the Republican Senate's audit. This is the Republican Party's audit. No, this is America's audit. And it's funny because you say they claim that this is the most secure election that we've ever had. But as soon as this audit began, the Democrats and the left and the progressives and the globalists sent 73 lawyers to Arizona to try to stop this process. This process is brought on by the Arizona State Senate. Our legislators are very strong. They understand the power of the legislature. They understand the power of the states. They subpoenaed this information from Maricopa County, and now we are trying to continue the pressure to force Maricopa County to deliver all of the information we need to get the answers that we want to restore election integrity and voter confidence.
Let's start by talking about the immediate sort of attempts to block the audit. You said the Democrats and the left sent in this army of lawyers. Isn't it true that at the same time the Biden administration sent a sort of threatening letter, which at least in part, for the part of it I saw, said something like, if you contact voters at their home address, this is a form of voter intimidation. I mean, the election's over, but they seem to suggest, well, you're intimidating them for the next time around just by verifying that they live at that address. Right. So talk about, first of all, talk about what the Biden people are trying to do. And then second, has this scared off to any degree the auditors or the Arizona legislature?
Right. Yes, you are exactly right. So our Secretary of State, Katie Hobbs, tried to bring in the federal government, bring in the very politicized DOJ, the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, into Arizona, which I think is unconstitutional, and probably you do too, because they have no place, number one, in our elections, but number two, in an audit of the elections. There's just nowhere for them. So they sent a letter stating that they were asking some questions based on news reports and complaints that they had received. Now, the news reports in Arizona have also been the local news, basically complete fake news, trying to create the story rather than report the story. So the DOJ sent a letter asking about two things: the security of the ballots and whether there was voter intimidation happening. Now, neither of those things are happening. The ballots are secure. There are 19 armed guards that are on site every single day, along with 24-hour security cameras and 9 cameras that are open to the public to watch this audit as it happens. And there is no voter intimidation. This is not an election. This is an audit. And isn't it strange that they don't want us to know if not only do those people live at that address, but do those people exist at all? Are they still living? I personally want to suppress the dead vote. So I hope everybody out there wants to suppress the dead vote.
Now, we've also learned, and I see some of this in a letter that was written by the Arizona Senate president, that right away there has been a discovery of certain very disturbing irregularities. Let's start going through those one by one. Let's start by talking about passwords and routers. Is it in fact the case that the Maricopa County, the people running this election, did not in fact have the passwords themselves, that the only people who had the passwords were I guess the Dominion company or the companies administering these machines, and that the election officials did not have them at all?
That is that is what is claimed. And so in the subpoena from the state Senate that was approved of by the Arizona courts, the information, the routers, the diagrams of the routers and the passwords were supposed to be provided to the company that has been hired by the Arizona Senate to do this audit. So during the court hearings, they didn't ever bring up that they didn't have the passwords. They didn't ever bring up that they didn't plan to give the routers to the state Senate. That came weeks, if not months, after it was determined that this is an appropriate way to fix our elections. So Maricopa County claims that they have only the initial password to get into the Dominion machines, that the secondary password, so the second door that you need to be able to get in to certify and make sure that everything is up to par and that there wasn't any funny business, they claim they don't have that. And as far as I know, right as of now, Dominion is not offering that up to the Arizona State Senate and the auditors to get inside those machines, but hopefully we will.
Is the Senate kind of determined to push the process to make sure they do have that access, so they're not backing down on this, are they?
They are not backing down, which I'm very proud of them, because you know politicians, I know politicians, it's much easier to go retreat, hide, wait till the next election and go back into office. These people, Senate President Karen Fann, the chairman of the Judiciary, Warren Peterson, my own state senator, Sonny Borrelli, they are out there, they are pushing, they are fighting, and they've all, as more information appears to be hidden from them, and as more information is coming to light, they are even more determined to get this done. Many of them have said that if there's a political hill to die on, it is this one. This is the one, because this is our republic. This is what makes our country great, is the faith in the election system. So they're surging ahead.
When we come back, I want to talk to Kelli Ward about the implications of all this, also about allegedly missing databases, and also what happens if it turns out that Maricopa County did not vote as the results said that it did. Wouldn't that tip the state of Arizona, and what would that mean for the election in general? We'll be right back.